T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello, guys and dolls. We are live, so don't swear, Mike. So, first things first, welcome. Today, we are taking a look at the buffering. Do we have all the right parts this time around? Yes, Paul. Yes, we do. So, basically, what happened last time, for those who aren't aware, we've now taken down the video because it's superfluous and it's not required. But basically, we were trying to do this last time, and the kit that was originally sent to us is actually a CNC kit. So it's a kit literally designed to fit to a CNC machine, not the Prusa kit that they sell, which is why we had. There we go. Which is why we had like this flight switch jobby and loads of extra wires and cables and these things.
When all we needed was one cable.
All we needed was one cable. So this is the cable. So the way this works is actually, I think, pretty genius. I think this is pretty genius. So basically, these two go into the power in on the INC board, taking the 24-volt in that the INC has. This connector goes into the part cooling fan connection, and then the part cooling fan comes off the back. And basically what it means is that once you have run your cable through, you can disconnect the laser and then two screws and it comes off, and you are back to using a regular Prusa because this requires no firmware changes. There is a G-code generator made by OPT lasers that you use. You load your DXF file into. It generates the G-code, and the way it runs the laser is effectively by telling it an X and Y to go to, and then telling it to turn on the part cooling fan. And turning on the part cooling fan turns on the laser. Like, that's genius, isn't it? I'm genuinely amazed by that. So the only downside of this whole build is that OPT lasers have sent me these toffees again. I ate these toffees last time because I still am not 100% sure that they're toffees. I'm not eating them again.
I did go to eat one last week, but I accidentally dropped it on the floor.
Yeah, you did. I noticed that. Another important safety note, guys, is the safety goggles that OPT give us are none of your little knockoff stuff. These are proper goggles. So you can see that they have a lip all the way around the edge to stop nasty lasers getting into your eyes. They correct your eyesight. I'm led to believe the first time you do it, they correct your eyesight. The second time they give you superpowers. And then the third time you get the bad aids. You don't want that. So you always be careful.
The third time you're basically dead.
I'll just move my my belt printer off of the workbench because we're not working on this right now. But hold on. We have got ourselves a benchy. It is rough. James equals Willy Wonka. A bold statement, and I'm not really molesty enough, let's call it. So this needs a decent amount of work. I think, to be honest, this is suffering because of this bio PLA that's on it, but we'll cross that bridge later when we do the review. So let's move this out of the way without smashing it on anything. Oh, like I literally just did. Okay, so I've now boxed myself in as well. So if I do require anything else for this, tough. So, this is our Prusa bear. Look like you're in U2. Well, if we're honest, we have just hit 3,900 and some change subscribers. So we are well on our way to 4,000 before the end of the year, which means that I'm basically as famous as you two. That's what we're saying, isn't it, Mike? We're basically that kind of famous.
I don't know if I'd want to be like you two because I think Bono's a terrible person.
Yeah, well, whenever he plays with lasers, he doesn't lose his eyes. So you can at least give that to him. He's a man of safety. So let's take a look. These are Phillips. Get rid of those nasty. Oh, those fudge are going to haunt me. Right, so top and bottom. Nope. Oh my God. Okay. There we go. Right. Are they long enough? I don't think they are.
I think I'm actually going to be keeping that belt printer, Paul.
The amount of effort and time it took to get it, so these aren't long enough. So I should note, guys, that normally you would actually get the screws with the kit. Because they sent us the second part of the kit separately, we never got our screws.
You all right, Matt?
Heidi ho!
Oh, Christ. So, first of all, that scared the crap out of me, so that was awful. And secondly, why is your microphone so loud? That was so unnecessary. Oh, my Christ.
I didn't think it was that high.
Good Lord.
Can't really do anything about it.
These pants are a throwaway.
Automatically adjusts.
Oh, I didn't like that.
The look of shock on your face, and it was excellent.
Was it? I'm glad.
It was genuine.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go back later and watch that again.
I'm glad that the people get what they want. Just
we should make that look into the thumbnail for the video.
What machine is this? A Prusa? Is that your knockoff?
It is our Prusa knockoff, yes.
Ah.
So it's a knockoff that we then turned into a bear. But
okay,
for all intents and purposes, it's a stock Prusa.
Right.
So all that we should have to do is screw this in here like that, and then screw this into here. How you doing, Matt? Been up to much today?
Yeah, just put the little one down for a nap, and then I'm gonna try and work on some stuff, but I'm probably not gonna get as much as I want done. So.
Do you ever get as much as you want done?
Nope, never. But
right, well, that's on there.
Well, yeah, I was supposed to be putting 2 prints on and building some of that Gambody car. I looked at it all and then just went and sat down.
Let's talk XL and the banknote. I'll be honest. That's pushing the envelope in terms of price and what you get. Usually I say, all right, Prusas are pretty much the gold standard when you get into 3D printing and you got $1,000 to spend. I do suggest getting one, but when it comes to the XL, that's a pretty hard sale on my opinion.
So
if you wanted to get the one with the 5 tool heads and get it made, you could also buy an Ultimaker.
Yeah.
Could
so
you?
You're getting into big territory.
What? No, but the price of the Prusa.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, to be fair, you could. I mean, so I've looked over it and I'm interested about the section bed, right? where it's got this sort of it's got this independently leveled bed sections kind of thing.
Don't get me wrong, it's a clever printer.
Yeah, it seems clever, but as you say, I mean, I don't personally, I don't think that's gonna like reinvent the world. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think it's £4,000 clever.
No, but then I suppose you have to think about what Prusa is trying to, what Prusa is, I suppose, really trying to pitch those against, right?
Well, he knows that all the Prusa fans are going to buy them.
Yeah, I know. And I know that I tend to jump on the Prusa hate bandwagon, right? And I'm under no illusions that the Prusa Mark III is a solid machine, right? But if you ask anybody who had the original Prusa, being an early adopter for them was not fun. Like the original Prusas were not great. They were all right, and they were all right for the time. But being an early adopter for Prusa, that hurt a lot of people. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of effort. Like, yeah. So I just hope that isn't the same again with this. I hope that people are actually going to get what they pay for and everything else. It's interesting because if you actually look at the Dubai press release that came out, the print farm version, it's almost identical. So the one that was advertised in Dubai, where they've got like, so they're all rack mounted, and then they all like present on giant slidey trays, but they've got no screens because they're all networked in a big farm. They look really similar, like really similar. So I'm hoping that means that they've done a decent amount of farm testing. That means that, you know, that you don't have to, that you're not a beta tester, basically. You're not the person who's, they're not making you gamble $3,000 of your money until they've done all the development and use case tests that they need to do to get a decent machine.
Yep.
Like, I hope that's not the case. I really hope that's not the case. But will it be? I don't know. Will we get one on the channel? Almost definitely not. I think I've been verbally abusive to Joseph Prusa on more than one occasion. So I think it's fairly unlikely that we're going to get one of those.
You've done it before when we've been to one of the shows and Prusa were there.
Yeah. We shunned them at the TCT show. So as Paul said,
their stand literally looked like a car boot sale.
Yeah, it did. Well, yeah, but the TCT show wasn't well done. Like, we know that. Like, there wasn't a lot of like entry level. Hey man, how you doing? There wasn't like a lot of entry level. There wasn't a lot of entry level machines. There wasn't a lot of entry level people. You know, there was just a lot of industrial stuff.
That's absolutely true, Dominic. Like, if you don't want to work on a printer and you want a one and done, Prusa is the way to go. It's really
and I mean, don't get me wrong. So like, the guy who you brought over was like the guy you referred to me, that James Coulter, or James Coulter.
Yeah.
He runs a Prusa print farm, right?
Yep.
He's got 60 machines, and they run almost continuously. And he really doesn't have any downtime, and you can't fault those kind of results. Now there are people who are running Ender 3 print farms, and I can only assume those people
are regularly having downtime, swapping stuff out.
Yeah, and they're just building into their cost model the amount of maintenance work that they have to do with their machines. So right, I'm gonna take.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, I mean, price to price, you're basically ending up paying for a Prusa price in the long run with an Ender 3 print farm like Prusa printer.
Yeah.
Because the consistent maintenance that you have to do, all the problems and downtime and everything like that. So if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of money up front to pay for a Prusa, okay, then
Yeah.
do a build to, type printer like that.
Yeah.
But if you got the money for a Prusa, I highly suggest it. It's going to cause you a lot less headaches, and at least the MK3s, from what I've seen. Now, the Prusa Minis, that's an entirely different story. I see.
Yeah, we had that conversation the other day.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that got us our own level of. I'm sure that brought our own level of community disdain for daring to question that.
I just don't understand that printer. It's
I mean, so to me, like it's a printer people bought who had money to throw away, and they bought it specifically because they were waiting for the Prusa. They were waiting for the Prusa XL.
It was like something they knocked up over a weekend because they knew the XL was going to be a long wait.
Yeah, and I probably wouldn't even disagree with that, to be honest. It's probably not far away from what they did. I just don't see the use case for the Prusa Mini for the vast majority of people, because the main issue that people have with a Prusa is that it's not big enough. So they made a smaller one.
Yeah.
It was like the ultimate troll. It was like Elon Musk and Dogecoin.
Yeah.
It was like Joseph Prusa, like they were teasing for months about it. We've got a new thing coming. Oh, it's really exciting. And then like a week later it was like, psych, it's terrible.
Yeah. Why have you got one coming soon, Matt?
He won one.
Yeah, so
at least he's not spending actual money on it.
And he traded it for a Prusa Mini.
That's still a bad idea.
Yeah, I'm kind of.
Because instead of spending your actual money on it, what you've done is give away a perfectly good printer, and in return receive like a garbage fire.
Yeah, it's an okay printer. So.
Right. So
if you traded like an Ender 3 or an Ender 3 Pro for a Prusa Mini, all right, I'd say you got your money's worth.
Right, so we unplug this one, which is the part cooling fan. We plug in the part cooling fan to this, probably somehow right there. There we go. And then we plug this back into somehow. Oh, this is tight. There we go. Right. I'm not going to reattach my. I'm not going to reattach everything yet, because I want to see what this does when it turns on. So this stream could. I can leave it for 6 months and it will print every time without fail. So James, yeah, and again, and I don't disagree. You know, there is a degree of reliability that you get from Prusas, but you say that I get exactly the same results from my Sidewinder X1. I get exactly the same results from my longer LK4. Matt, I'm sure you get exactly the same results from almost every resin printer that you have.
Yep.
You know, the idea that this level of reliability is only achievable through a Prusa, I just don't disagree with. I don't disagree that your Prusa may work if you just turn it on after 6 months, but so do all of my machines.
Yes. Now, I will say that nowadays, that's probably more true than it was back in the day when I first started getting into printing, 4 years ago or whatever. Because, at that point in time, the ANET was the closest thing you can get to a Prusa, and the Creality printers weren't even around at that point. Like, they were just starting to make their way into the marketplace. But at that point in time, there was nothing reliable under, $700-800. So,
Well, the Ender 3 that we've just turned into that print mill, a couple of weeks ago, we put the Black Knight linear rail kit on it. But before that, that printer has been sitting there for a year.
Yep.
Because before that, it was the Quinley. Which I think that video is probably over a year ago.
So, I mean, so this works, but it's literally turned on as soon
as you
as
turn
I
it
turn the printer on, to the point as to which it's actually just burnt a little hole in my print bed.
Mm-hmm.
But if I put a bit of paper there, and now we have... Oh, they can't see that.
you burn a hole in it.
What you're going to do there is just start a small fire.
Well, there we go. So you can
No,
see...
that's for the Ender.
It burns a hole in it, but I mean that laser is on as soon as I've turned the printer on, and I feel like I've wired it to the wrong fan.
Most likely, sir.
Connect front pin fan cable. View the set of wires. No, that's on the right one. That's over on the other side.
We wouldn't know what the best laser engraver of home use is because this is the first laser we've ever had.
What's the best laser engraver?
So.
Yeah, this is the first laser I've ever had. So I've no idea. Maybe this one.
It's going great so far.
As long as you've got a laser. Listen, you can't deny that it is a laser and it's on. So functionally speaking,
working.
We're already working.
You've won half the battle.
I'm just looking to see. Front print fan. That's the one you're supposed to plug it into. All right. That does imply, though, that it's just that the laser's always going to be on. Like, that can't be right.
No.
No, because you wouldn't be able to laser engrave something because you'd have travel lines.
Yep.
And as well, neither of my fans are currently on. So it's not acting like a switch. That's how I thought it was supposed to work. I thought the whole point was that it was meant to behave like a... Instead of the front, yeah. Check with the photo below if you plug them into the correct slots. Okay. Let me turn that off for a second. Oh, it's made a hole in my desk. Oh, no.
Well,
What
hey,
am I making? Your name at the moment.
Works
At the
very
moment,
well.
I'm making a hole in my
making
desk.
damage.
Yeah. Let me just check that that is... All right, hold on. So...
That's true. You can.
Interesting. So that's the one. Yeah, that's the right. Ah.
Well, if it just permanently stays on as well, you could also use it to detach your retinas.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's supposed to go in that way round. Can we do that? I feel like this has been put in the wrong pin way. So
there's nothing to say we had it wired up correctly the first time.
No, that's not what I mean. So there's a signal pin that goes in on a certain side. You could use it to remove small bits of plastic that you can't get off your bed. Yeah, that's a fair point. You could do that probably.
Definitely can.
All right, so let's really want to do that because that's got a locator pin on it. So just get...
Yeah, it's the first laser we've ever used.
I feel like they've wired this wrong. I feel like these are the wrong way around because so the way this goes in is like that. Hold on. I can't. Yeah, it's not really any clearer. All right, fine. I'll just talk through it. So, okay. So the way this shows it, there's a signal pin, and the signal pin for this is supposed to sit on the left-hand side, but it's wired up on the right. So I feel like the reason why it's on is because it's currently receiving. It's not got any signal to turn it off.
Right.
So I'm inclined to immediately modify this with absolutely no knowledge, which I think is really, I think we can all agree is a fantastic idea.
It's a bold.
So that should come out. Yep. And that should come out. And then that should go in. And that should go in. There we go. This feels like a really, really stupid idea. You know when you have really bad ideas? Oh, Matt doesn't have bad ideas. I've had terrible ideas, and this is one of them.
What are you talking about? I have bad ideas. I bought an under 3. Oh, sorry.
There's nothing wrong with that Ender 3, Matt. It's you.
That was too good. It was brand new, actually. I bought it brand new. I didn't want to deal with the used one. I was like, I'm not going down that path.
I have used my giant brain. And now,
So
no, it's on.
I was gonna say, so you think?
The good news is that, oh no, it's not really good news at all. Pooh.
You was a bit premature with the posting, really, weren't you?
Pardon?
You was a bit premature with the posting.
That's what she said.
Who was?
You were.
You.
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. So what happens then? Hold on. What happens if you turn on the if the fan comes on? So if I preheat the nozzle and the fan turns on, does that turn this off?
I don't know.
Let's find out.
Shot.
Nope.
Boom.
The fan still works. Or is that supposed... Oh, hold on. Am I actually meant to be turning on the other fan? Oh, God. How do you turn on the regular fan on this, for God's sake? Why isn't that in a regular place? Like, that's information you'd need, surely. Can you honestly not? Like, you must just be able to turn the fan on. Like, that's a normal... Oh, there we go. Fan speed.
What?
Interesting. So perhaps I was wrong. And perhaps I shouldn't have switched those wires.
Oh, God.
I think deep down we all knew that I shouldn't switch the wires. Like, I'm not really sure why everybody on here just allowed.
No, everyone just sort of let you get on with it.
Yeah, no one said that's a bad idea. I blame Paul. This is just like that time he didn't tell me not to do the other thing that I did, and I did it, and it did bad things. All right. Okay. Let's plug that back in. Turn this back around. Because what I'm concerned about is that right now the part cooling fan isn't actually working either. So that implies to me that something's wired up incorrectly, but I don't know what.
Oh, you blew it.
Or something else is wired up incorrectly, more specifically. Interesting. This is not ideal. So that's plugged in. And whilst that's plugged in, the part cooling, but if we plug the part cooling fan back in on its own, then let's first of all answer the question about whether or not that is supposed to act as a switch. See you later, Henry. Is that Henry? I can't remember. Is this your first laser? Yeah, it is.
You might not have been able to tell.
Yeah. See, that's interesting because without the part cooling thing plugged in, it's not turning on. This isn't turning on. So that implies to me, and if I go like that, oh, cool. Well, that's very interesting. The part cooling fan doesn't seem to be working.
Oh, God, maybe you blew up the board.
Well, I don't see how, because it still turns on. So, I mean, to be clear, I was correct in that there's clearly something. It's clearly supposed to be when the fan's turning on, because without this plugged in, it isn't triggering the laser. So I'm going to call that progress, because it's my stream and I can do what I want.
Just take the little wins.
So I'm just trying to figure out. So that's definitely the right one.
Well, I mean, if you need to trigger it, just call it an Ender 3 and it'll be all right. It'll trigger.
I'm not fitting this to an Ender 3. So, does it show? So that definitely should go. I think it turns on when the fan is there. So, yeah, so you're not wrong. That is what it's supposed to do. The problem is that if I plug it in right now, the laser is always on, which means the signal pin must be wrong. And if
it's ran the wrong way.
Yeah. Well, it implies that that's the wrong thing, but I've put it back to the way it was originally, and it's still doing the same behavior. So if we plug that back in, that's the part cooling fan plugged in, and that should mean that now, when we turn this on, this is without the laser. So this is without the laser plugged in. What are you working on, Matt? Is it going better than this?
That other disastrous project we've been working on that I need to
God, are you?
finally actually get my button gear and do it, because I haven't at all.
Right. The part cooling fan works. So that's fine. So the part cooling fan works. So that means that this must be wired incorrectly, because the part cooling fan works. So now let's just plug this in as it was. And let me just, I suppose, hold on. So let me try and. So this one. So that goes in like that. This one here. Yeah, I was right.
Sexy.
This is wired incorrectly.
Oh God, you're breaking it.
I'm not breaking it. Or if I am, shut up.
Since you guys are more in tuned with FDM and I haven't messed with firmware in a while. What is that? Oh, it's Pronter Face. Never mind. I know.
What was that?
Nothing. I was going to ask you what program it is to send codes to the printer, but then I remembered that it's called Pronter Face.
Yes, it is, yeah.
That just tells you how long I've been doing it.
All right, this is middle. And then this is the end one.
Hello, Carl. Goodbye, Carl.
Hello, Carl. Goodbye, Carl.
Right. Okay, one moment, callers. Oh, glasses on.
Do.
Ah, swines. Okay, but what happens now if we turn the part cooling fan on? If we turn the fan speed up to 255, that turns it off.
Okay.
Interestingly, my fan doesn't turn, but that turns it off. So the fan on turns that off. Pardon?
They didn't like that.
It just says print fan error. Oh, of course, because the Prusa's got the fan thing. Is there a way to turn that off? Fan check off. There we go. Right, so, but that, surely that's the wrong way round, isn't it? Invert it.
Like in Top Gun.
I have no idea.
I don't know if that's the way to do it. I suppose. So the problem is, Paul, is it's not deriving power from the fan header, right? It's taking its power directly from the main board, like it's taking it from the power in on the main board in. The only thing it's using on the fan header is the signal pin. So either the signal pin is in the correct position or it isn't. There isn't a middle ground. You can't invert a signal pin, can you?
That I don't know. I don't know. I just work here.
I'm just
What do I
looking
know?
to see whether or not I'm just here for the fun times.
I'm just here for the women.
Yeah, that's the reason why we started the channel, to be honest. It was just for the ladies. Turn the cable. No, I don't think that's right because there's only one signal pin. The other is ground and volt. Shouldn't the laser be on the fan? So no. So that's not where that's not where it gets its voltage from. It takes its power directly from the power in from the power supply, right? So it's directly on the power in from the board. The only thing that's on the fan header is a signal pin, and the signal pin should turn it on and off. But what it's doing now is when the fan is on, it's turning the laser off, and when the fan is off, the laser is on. And I don't think that's the way around it should be working. And I'm not really seeing any particularly useful advice on their thing either. Let me go and let me just look at take these off for a minute. Oh God, everything's a funny color now. The world is wrong. Basic stringing. All right. So, quick setup guide, yeah. Fine, yeah, right. You get all that stuff, yes. Turn this off because I don't want to electrocute myself again. Let's just make sure brown and red are on the right way round, yeah. And then yeah, that's right. I mean, I suppose I could invert the fan ones. The fan. Why is nothing ever as easy as it says it is on the box?
That would make things easy.
Well, they didn't get off to an amazing start when they sent the wrong kit.
Yeah, that wasn't. I'll not lie, that wasn't great. All right, let's just try that. No, that's still on. And then if we go to settings, temperature, fan speed, and we put the fan speed all the way up to 255, then the fan turning on, which it isn't, admittedly, is what turns the laser off. Why would it be that way though?
Unless
why
it is
would you?
supposed to be that way, and it's.
It can't be though, surely.
Well,
you can't actually have it where a laser is always on. Apart from anything else, a laser has only got a certain number of hours in it before it dies and burns itself out anyway. So if you
I'm wondering if once you put a file on now, whether then it would then kick in.
Yeah. I think we should make Matt Farmer decide.
About what?
I don't know. Anything. Why isn't this working, Matthew?
User error.
Well, that's very hurtful. I mean, it's probably not wrong, but it's... All right. No. See, I'm not convinced because the fan isn't running. And surely
It should.
It should. And I feel like that's the issue. I feel like what's happened is it's not wired up correctly, and that's the reason why. So if this is like this, then the way this should theoretically go is that one goes in there. This one goes in the middle.
I hate dealing with this machine.
What one are you dealing? Are you dealing with the Ender and the Wasp now?
Yes. Ender 3.
What issues are you having right now?
There's literally no movement on the extruder. So I'm going to go through everything and figure out what the hell.
Have you used the little... What are you using? An Ender 3 Pro V2? What are you using?
Pro, I believe. Yeah,
I think you need to use the little extension cable.
I did.
Because it does the... Does it move? Can you move it on the screen part? So can you press the down arrow and it moves?
I can move it on the tool head itself.
Yeah, but it won't move on the thing. Yeah, I think you need to use the little extender cable.
Or not, because the extended cable is already on there.
Yeah, I think... Oh, have you already got the extender cable on?
Yep.
Try it without the extender cable.
Take it off.
Problem is I don't think there's enough space.
No, laser's still on.
Lasers.
All right, I'm going to see whether or not this activates the fan, and if it doesn't, then we'll just try putting on a print and see what it does, I guess.
Oh, God.
See, that doesn't even... Oh, right, so the fan's on, but now the laser's not turning off.
Okay.
So that feels like we're further away.
Oh.
Is the fan meant to be used? You say the laser uses the fan to control, but what does the fan actually need to be powered?
Because it's just got power going to it.
Yeah. So technically, Paul, it isn't, right? But there's a two-part cable, right? So there's the part that goes into the board, and there's a splitter that fan is supposed to go into. Now, it's not necessarily that the fan is supposed to perform a function, but it's that when the board is telling the fan to turn on, it does so with the signal pin, right? It sends a signal to turn the fan on. So it would, in theory, make sense that this has to have the same signal to turn on that the part cooling fan does. It doesn't take the power from the fan header, but like there should be a signal. Yeah, through the PWM channel. So problem is, though, is the way theirs is wired. I mean, it is different to the way that I've. Your cough's gotten the same.
Infinitely better.
Is it?
No.
All right. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put a print on, and we're going to see what it does. So let's get my piece of wood that is over here. So if we put that to the back, and that goes there, then it doesn't say to do this, but I don't really feel comfortable doing it any other way. So right, all I want this to do, in theory, is if we move this all the way back, that should now. Yeah, you sound great, Mike.
Sound lovely, mate.
You sound lovely. You sound like you're from London. Right, okay. We'll turn that on.
Because all the people I talk to are in London. That's in Australia.
Yeah, you did sound a bit Australian then.
Yeah, they tend to mix if I try and do a English accent.
All right, so put these on.
Are you? If I have to keep this thing plugged in,
All right, that goes on. Test G code comes up, so that works. So there's a file called file incomplete. Continue anyway. Yes. Brilliant. So it's supposed to skip the bed leveling, and it didn't. So that's a great start. G code settings. Prusa 3D. Yeah. Oh, it does say auto. Oh, okay, right. So maybe we have to take the. So it's not doing the best bed level, but it needs to do the. It's not doing the bed level, but it needs to do the G28 command. So it needs to, obviously on a Prusa, it needs to home. Right, let's just turn this off and on again. Cool. Let's try that one more time. Oh, okay. It's doing something now. Well, it's burnt through the paper. This is less impressive than I was hoping. Yeah, that doesn't work. Okay, fine.
Was it moving? I couldn't
No,
see
not
anything
even a little
moving.
bit. It's burnt a hole in the paper quite nicely. So it was.
Well, if all you need to do is burn a small hole in lots of pieces of paper, then it's working great.
You can't argue with that. Cannot argue with that at all. But it's supposed to burn, or it would appear anyway, that it's supposed to burn a OPT lasers.
Perhaps it was just a really small logo.
just really, really tiny.
Yeah.
Let's see if I could just go onto Google and download a DFX file.
Okay.
Laser is not hot enough, I think, because as soon as it gets warm, the fan will come on, I think, to accommodation.
Hey,
Put the wood
so
back on.
quick question about the thing. When you move the extruder on the knob, is it really slow? Do you know?
Sorry, what do you mean? What, as in if you move it? Wait.
So if you move it on the LCD screen,
yeah,
does it move super slow?
Yeah, because you need to change your steps.
Ah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yep.
That's why. Yeah, I needed to change it to like 750 or something like that. Something ridiculous. Knew I was missing a step. I'm like, it's working now. So yeah, apparently you don't need the connector for it.
Okay, let's see if we can. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to. So I'm trying to find a picture that I can use that that will let me. Hopefully, anyway, that will let me. Where's. I don't understand why this won't let me open my folder in the place that I want to either. Hold on. So let me just pull up our logo. That should work, shouldn't it? Got our logo as a JPEG? No. Great. So how far have you got on the, if indeed you have at all, how far have you got on doing the car? Have you done anything else on it?
I've literally just touched it.
Sorry, I was talking to Mike.
I've got the front end assembled and I've got the back end assembled, but for some reason both the boot lid and the bonnet are just not sitting flush when they close.
Right. So how do you think you fix that though?
With a file.
Oh, what, you think it's literally that it's not?
I think it's where say the bonnet hinges. I think it's resting on the part of the wings that's stopping it from closing.
Yeah.
So it's in like a little sort of cup. And I think it's resting on the edge of that cup, stopping it closing fully.
Right, so 100% the fan is not supposed to be on because it says here, print cooling fan off, disable laser. And it isn't doing that. It isn't disabling the laser. So 100% that isn't working the way that it's supposed to.
But then seeing as there is literally 0 reviews on this kit, there's nothing to say it actually works.
No.
Well, I mean, the thing is that the laser turns on, right? So that's 60% of the journey, surely.
Well, unfortunately, the other 40% is getting it to turn off.
Well, yeah. Oh, hold on. Oh.
Well, that looked like it went on and off then.
It's not, no. It's just going on. It's just going higher and lower. So, just so we're clear, this is technically appears to be working, but it isn't actually burning anything even into the paper. I think it says it's doing 3 passes. So I don't know whether or not that means I don't know whether it'll now. No. So it didn't do 3 passes.
Don't you have to like adjust the wattage or something on that in order for it to like?
Certainly sounds like the sort of thing a person should be able to do, doesn't it?
Well, someone who knows how lasers work, yeah.
Where's William when you need him?
Maximum PWN. No, that's the print. That's the thingy thing. So material thickness, it thinks is 1 millimeter. Well, it's trying to do paper, but that shouldn't make a difference. If anything, that should mean the fan's hotter, shouldn't it? Curve accuracy.
No, because the paper's less than 1 millimeter thick, isn't it?
1 pass thickness, 1 millimeter.
Yeah, but the paper's a lot thinner than 1 millimeter.
It is, but that means that it should be turning the fan up, surely. Sorry, it should be turning the laser up.
It doesn't know that paper is less than 1 millimeter thick.
Right, but it thinks that it's trying to cut this into 1 millimeter thick. So if anything, if it thinks it's 1 millimeter thick, then surely that should mean that it should be going higher in power. And it's not even. I'll watch this properly when I get a chance. I probably wouldn't bother. James stand in for Iron Man. Brilliant. Thanks, Carl. Also, that was the start of an evil scientist laugh. It'll do. Put the wood back. So material thickness. Let's say 2 millimeters. 1 pass thickness. All right. Let's see what that does. Generate G code. See, I'm not convinced that this is doing. So again, I don't think this is doing it right because this is actively turning the fan speed up to 255. So that says to me that is whacking the power all the way to its highest, and it's not doing that because when the fan is off, it's not turning the fan. It's not turning the thing off. So it's got to be that it's not wired correctly. It's got to be that it's not wired correctly.
That's what I'm guessing. Now,
I mean, I'll do another. I'll do another thing. I'll save the G code.
James is standing for Iron Man.
We got it moving, and that's half a start. Right, so it has to home, and then for some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason, you have to, once it's homed, you have to then tell it to start. I don't know why that's a feature that anybody can, unless it's literally going too high, unless it's that you need to change the Y, because the Y height on this is at like, I don't know, it starts at 31. So how do you tell it how close it's supposed to be to the bed? Or the Z height, sorry.
I reckon that in the like this, basically the slicer you're using, is that where you're telling it how thick the material is?
Yes.
Then I reckon it's automatically deciding how high that needs to be depending on the material thickness.
Right. So you reckon then maybe
Because a laser has a sweet spot, doesn't it? Because it works basically, it focuses, so it needs to be in that focus range on whatever material you're printing or burning.
Well, it's doing multiple passes. And I can't take the glasses off to see. I can't take the glasses off to see if it's doing all right. It's doing something. It is. I think it's starting to etch. I think it is doing it. I think it is doing it. I need to message him about the wiring because that's not right. Should you have the wood?
I don't know, because from here, when that's travelling, the intensity of the laser is changing. It's stopping and starting.
It is.
But it's not turning it off at any point, and it should be.
No, it might be. It might just be lowering
no,
the power.
I think it's doing the reverse of that. I think that it's starting out at full power, and as it's adding power to the fan, it's taking power away from
the laser. That's what it should do, because when it needs to travel from one part to another,
I think it should be the other way around. I think as it's providing, should you have the wood under the paper? So George's gaming guide, you can't have the wood under the paper, and the reason why is really annoying, which is that the Pinder sensor is the only way this can do a Z-home. And the Pinder sensor has to be able to detect the Prusa bed. So if what you're printing with is too thick for the Pinder sensors to still trigger the bed underneath, then it can't home Z. It is definitely etching it. It's etching what it's supposed to be etching. It's just a question as to, and you are right, the laser intensity is changing, but I think it's changing the wrong way. I think it should be more powerful, and I think it's ramping it down.
well, you'll be able to see once it finishes burning. If that's the case, the travel lines will be darker than the actual image.
See, I can slow it down. The work speed maximum minimum is apparently 1,000 millimeters. So I could slow that down to 500, and I guess I could put it down to a 0.5 material thickness, and then say to do, I guess I could try that. How thick's paper? Is it 0.2?
0.2, I believe, yeah.
Okay. All right, well, we'll give that a go in a minute. because every command in here is setting the power to 255. So that should be on its brightest all the time, and it isn't.
But what I'm
And as
saying
well,
is, if
to
you're
be
saying,
clear,
if
it's
you're
supposed
saying
to
it's,
turn it off at the end, and it doesn't do that either.
but if you're saying it's weaker while it's burning and then gets brighter, like more intense when it's moving, when that finishes, if that's the case, the travel lines will be darker than the actual image.
I think it just moves too quickly to do that. Like I think it literally moves too quickly to. Like the idle speed is 10,000. The work speed on this is. I'm going to put it down to 500. Oh. And then I'm going to try generating the G code off of that. I mean, it's kind of working. Like it is, I feel like it is doing what it's supposed to be doing, but at the same time, like
It is, but it isn't.
see, I'm also not sure if it's actually changing intensity or if it's just where standard A4 paper is 0.07. Oh, Matt was wrong.
Really?
You said it was 0.5 or 0.2. It's 0.07.
I'm way off then. I swore it was 0.2.
Like it's definitely doing something. That's going to be something when I get lasers next week. See, the problem is that you're not dealing with a laser the way it's really supposed to be used, right? This is supposed to be used as a
Space weapon.
well, it's supposed to be used as a 3D printer, and we're trying to use a print head in like a fan head in a way it's not meant to be used. There's no way this is right. So the reason why it's changing color is because that's the parts it's already cut. So it changes. It's not changing intensity. It's changing color because it's reflecting off of the bed that's underneath. If it's
Right.
if it is,
Yeah, but it was doing that when it
also
first
burn
started.
through the glass. Well, there isn't glass on a Prusa. It's a PEI sheet, and we need to change this bed anyway. And I don't actually think it's the PEI side either. I think it's just the steel. I think it's just the spring steel. Seal, is the fan on or off now, James? Fan is on currently. The fan is spinning.
What, continuously?
Yep. So that means the signal pin for the fan is correct because it is triggering the fan.
Yeah.
So that is wired, in theory, the way it's supposed to be.
But
Oh, yeah, that's very bright, Mr. Ped.
As I said earlier, There is nothing on this online. No videos. No nothing. There's nothing to say.
No,
it
it's
actually
not.
works properly.
So, Mike, just out of interest, when you've used this bed in the past, before we did this,
It didn't have a logo burnt in it.
There was no logo burned into it, you say?
No.
That's very interesting. How sure are you about that?
I'm going to say 100%.
You're going to say 100% sure that there wasn't a logo burnt into it before?
Yeah.
So if there was a logo burnt into it now, you'd say you'd notice that, would you?
I'm going to say yeah again.
You would, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's an interesting point. It's very interesting. Yeah. So I have some news. There is, technically speaking, there is a slight logo that is now on the bed.
And I didn't even know that OptiLasers made like beds.
Like, you didn't know they made beds?
No.
It's interesting because this one does have Opti logo burned directly into it. And I would have thought that OPT lasers, you know, I've sent you a link over Prusa laser. Have you? How have you sent that? Right. Okay. Well, we've stopped. We've stopped printing. So let's turn this off for a moment. Oh, that messes with your eyesight quite a lot. Okay, so what we have here is the result.
I can't see anything.
No one can see. So 1 second. Does that sort of come out? Hold on. 1 second. There we go. Can we see that?
Sort of, but it's crap.
There we go. You can see that, yeah?
Yeah.
So you can see that that's burnt into the paper. And the good news is that it is also burnt into the bed.
So that means it's not running at full power then?
No, it can't be. It can't be. And once again, when the fan is off, that laser should be off. And it isn't. So, I mean, I'm just struggling to understand. Yeah, I'm just really struggling to understand what I've done different. I mean, I've not done anything differently to what's in their instructions, right? I've followed their instructions exactly as they are. I'm not being a spastic or anything. No, hold on.
Stop being so American.
Pardon?
Stop being so American.
I'm definitely not alienating an entire section of the audience. The laser moves on every time until it's right. Don't know what that. I'm sorry, Ray. I don't know what that means. So I'm pretty sure this is now wired the way that it did actually come. But I mean, I'm following the wires, right? So, like, I'm following the original wire layout, which is right. But it just feels to me like that switch wire isn't doing its job. But it clearly is doing something, because when you turn the fan to 255, it was turning it off. Like, I don't know what else to try though, because there's no firmware to change. There's no. I mean, I can try redoing this bit of like redoing the thickness so that it's thinner, and then maybe it'll work, because maybe it'll be like. But it doesn't seem to change the Z height on any of these. The Z height stays the same. And then let me just see what happens if I do that. I've just tried changing the Z height to see whether or not that makes a difference, that maybe that laser just wasn't where it was meant to be. Which is possible, like it is possible. I'll try flipping the paper around. Putting my glasses on.
My glasses, I can't see.
And now the bed sensor fails. Oh, for God's sake.
I sent a link to your Facebook.
You have?
No,
Oh, right, okay. Laser engraving on your... That Instructables I can't get to. Just brings to a 404 error. So, so that's a good start. Oh, for God's sake. This is really starting to climb my tits. Right. I don't understand why this is... Oh, it's that, isn't it? God's sake. That's annoying.
so if that still has to use the sensor to level at the beginning, how are you supposed to use any thicker material?
Well, that's the point I made earlier. Because the problem is that one way or another, so unless what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to home it first, and then you're supposed to, I think what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to home it first, because then you're supposed to, you have once
Put your material on.
Homes, you have to press OK again. You have to
So
press
you
the
have to
button
home
make
it.
go.
So you have to home
like
it, put your material on, and then the thickness of the material you've already set in the slicer, so it knows what the Z height needs to be.
In theory, yes. There, right. See, it's interesting because it's just not like I feel like it's going up too much on the Z. And the only commands I can find are offset Y.
Command me, Lord.
Have you got the Matt? Have you managed to get it just home in first?
Yeah, I got it all set up. I got to put a file on it, and we'll see where we're at. Ow. And I've got the perfect file, too.
Never just easy, is it? Right. But there's only one Z command in it that I can find. I've slowed it down. So yeah, so I think what you're supposed to do is you home it like this, right? And then it stops here, and this is where you would then insert your material, and then it goes off and does its laser thing, because you have to do... But I mean, right now, like it's literally not even burning paper.
Well, then obviously it's not working.
So it's either that it's not... Yeah, it's either that it's just not correctly I feel like it's got to be something wiring. Hey Arif, thanks for the installation. I've sent it to you on Facebook. Oh, is that the thing that it's meant to be? Is that what it's meant to be? I've got their guide on oh, sorry, there you go. I've got their guide on the website. Mount the laser, yeah. So he's wired his directly into his part cooling fan, but fine. Yeah. It's just not even close to doing it. Like it's not even close to where it's not. I mean, that's even worse than the other one. That's not even. Can you change the laser power strength, and what's the distance of the laser from the bed? So Arif, so the issue that we have at the moment, just to recap, is that you're supposed to. So basically, the laser takes its power direct. Lock on link. Oh, okay. So the laser draws its power directly from the power in on the INC board, right? It is then supposed to turn on and off and ramp up and down from the signal pin on the part cooling fan. So you plug it into the part cooling fan. It's supposed to, hypothetically, do that. It's supposed to then, that's what it's supposed to do. It isn't. It isn't doing that. Basically, when you turn the machine on, the laser's immediately coming on, and it shouldn't do. It shouldn't come on until the part cooling fan comes on, which implies that it's wired incorrectly, but there's only one way to wire it. So
it's not wired incorrectly when it goes into the laser, is it?
Can't be, because the laser turns on. So again, there's 4 cables that go into the tool head, right? 3 of them are the power cables, and 1 of them is the white cable, which is supposed to be the signal cable. The signal cable is what goes into the fan header. So I don't really know, I don't really know what else. I don't know what else I can try. I've tried shifting about the like the wiring guide. The wiring is definitely exactly right according to how it currently comes out of the original fan plug. So I just don't get it. And it's annoying because, like, so Ray, I've looked on the lock on. Can you change the laser? See, and that's the problem, Arif. I think the whole point is there a possibility the PWM pin on the motherboard either has an issue, or you can check whether available on the motherboard and maybe use that. Well, no, because I've sent you. So Ray, I have seen the instructions that you sent. I can't access that instructable. It just says 404 error. When I go into if it's the one by Vandermeer, I've found that. But the issue, if you use the normal fan speed, that will speed up or down. Yeah, so that's what it's supposed to do, Arif. But if the fan is off, the laser should be off, and it isn't. But if you turn the fan all the way up to 255, then that does turn the fan off. Turn the laser on, grab a sticky note or a smaller piece of paper, slide it under the beam and take note of the width of the dot and the mark it leaves when you move the paper around on the surface. Okay. Oh. Okay, well, something's come loose there then. I haven't plugged it in. That'll be what that is. So this is the issue, Ray. M107 doesn't turn it off. And it should. When you turn this machine on, that laser should not be on. And it is. So let's flip this round and do what Ray says. So we plug this in. So we turn this on. The laser's now on. I'm not 100% sure if there is a focusing beam. I'm assuming I'm not supposed to do that whilst the... Oh, hold on. Could it actually be the laser's too close? Because there's two mounting points.
Doubt it.
Well, because the laser's got the certain distance that it needs to be, right?
It's focusing point.
Yeah. But hold on.
If it's too close, you won't be getting full power.
Yeah. See, there is. You can't see that feels really high to go to that one, but because we're saying that this is a focusing ring, are we? Would have been nice if they'd have given you a little tool that allows you to like change the focusing ring. That would be a really nice, handy dandy feature.
You just use your fingers while the laser's on.
Pardon? That's objectively terrible advice.
I am
my fingers.
Well, that doesn't even turn, so I don't think it's got a focusing ring. So let's try moving it to the other mounting point.
Ow.
Now, I don't know what you're trying to do, but it does. Your PC clearly doesn't like it.
Nope.
So you still trying to issue commands on Pronterface?
No, I got that. Like I said, I just need to slice a file. And of course, now it's giving me some issue with the SD card where I can't put anything on the SD card. There we go. What the hell is going on? Pile of crap.
Well, that's not got anything to do with the Ender. You can't blame the Ender for your bad SD cards.
Nope. And it's
Unless it's
literally
SD
a brand,
card to come with it.
It's a brand new SD card, a SanDisk.
All right, let's try this mounted higher then, so that it's mounted to theoretically. Like, if it can't even burn paper, what are we even doing here? You just try printing the file and see what it does.
Watching you become frustrated with it.
Well, my level of patience with this is going right out the window.
Hey, join the club. I have to disable that? Oh, let's see here.
Nah. No. Let me just look back at their instructions and make sure that I'm not missing something wildly obvious, but I don't see how.
I've got my suspicions about this kit.
See, the M107 command is supposed to disable the part cooling fan, and it doesn't. Or it does disable the part cooling fan, but it doesn't turn off the laser, and that's what it's supposed to do. Wear safety glasses. That is all the G-code example, which you use in the slicer, and that doesn't do anything. See, the M107 command should print cooling fan off, and that should disable the laser, and it doesn't. Try the M107 command on the laser. So I have, Ray. So the M107 command is in the G code for this file. I can see it, and when it issues the M107 command, doesn't do anything. It doesn't turn the laser off, and it is supposed to. So what it's supposed to do, the sequence of events that are supposed to happen are, it does an M104 and an M140 to set the hot bed in the hot end to 0. A G28W, which is an auto home without mesh level. A G92 command, which sets the offset. Then a G0 command, do absolute Z permit. No, M107, print cooling fan off, which should disable the laser. You then do an M0 command, which means you have to click the wheel to continue. Another M107 command to turn it off, and then an M106 to turn it back on. And it isn't doing that. Yeah, so Ray, that's exactly. Do you have manual laser focus? I'm going to be honest and say I don't know, Ray. I mean, I've tried. There's only 2 mounting points on the hot end, so I've tried mounting it higher and tried mounting it lower, and that hasn't made a difference. If I just take this off 1 second, Just let me get this off the tool head. So if I switch to this camera and I show you. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. Oh, for God's sake. Right. Right, there you go. So this is the end of the laser. That's the end of the laser.
What'd you do? Break it?
Broke my camera. Right. Here. So this is the end of the laser. But what they don't include is any tools to adjust that.
Okay.
So if you're supposed to, if you're supposed to adjust some sort of, if you're supposed to adjust the focus or anything, then there's no way to adjust that focus on there.
Gotcha.
32X format. I'm assuming you're talking about the SD card, and yeah, it is. Reads the SD card fine. I mean, it's doing it right, so it's moving the laser. It's working on all the commands except for the commands.
It's just not turning on and off and running at full power.
It's just not turning the laser on and off, and it's also not ramping the laser up or down. It's not changing the laser power at any point. It's just the laser is on when you turn the printer on, which can't be right. It can't be right that as soon as you turn the printer on, the laser immediately comes on. But no, I don't think this has. I don't think this has a manual focus on it. It's also in the link, I think. So yeah, so this is supposed to, so literally, so when you issue the command M107, which it does twice at the start of this G code, it should turn this laser off, and it doesn't. So when you do the M106 commands, it isn't ramping up or down the power based on 255 or 0. So it's just the laser is on and that's it. And there doesn't seem to be a way to focus this. Now, I don't know if that means that it's pre-focused for a Prusa's height, which is possible. It could be. Like it could be because this is the laser that goes on a Prusa. It could be this is pre-configured. But I literally don't know what else to try now. Because I feel like quick question, is it 5 volt or 12 volt? Yes. It runs off of, it's a Prusa's 24 volt, isn't it?
I thought it was 12.
Is it 12?
I thought it was 12. But, you know, apparently I've been wrong before, so.
Literally doesn't say. I can't remember. It's whatever a Prusa is, because the power is not from the fan, remember. It doesn't draw its power from the fan. It draws its power directly from the INSI board terminals at the bottom, not from the fan header. The only thing that the fan header is a signal pin. That's it. Nothing else. And you're not wrong, Mike. There aren't any reviews of this. There aren't any. I've not seen this on any of the groups. I've not seen this anywhere of anyone with one of these and it working. And there could very well be a reason for that. Input voltage is 5. Really?
Just because somebody says something works, that doesn't mean it to be true.
To have a proper focus on a big laser is 30 millimeters for laser pecker is 200 millimeters. Double check that. I don't know what that sentence is meant to say, Arif. Like, I literally don't know what that's meant to say.
Even if you change that word "look" for "look," right? It still makes no sense.
So the only way when you turn this, look, I'll show you. I'll do this again. So move the bed out of the way. Machine turns on. Machine turns on. Laser is on, right? So machine is on. Laser is on. We go to settings, temperature, fan speed, all the way up to 255. And now it's still on, but it flickered. See, and if you have this way lower, it's a ring on lesser under. One second, let me just turn the fan speed off. No, if anything, once you turn the fan speed to 0, the laser height for our big laser cutter has a height of 30 millimeters where it's focused. The other laser engraver we have, the laser pecker, which requires the height to be 200 millimeters. Right, so you're talking about the focus that it requires at the different heights, right? See, what's interesting is when the fan speed is set at nothing, like the laser is more powerful by quite a way. Because I'm holding this here now and it's just absolutely just going straight through the paper. What's also
I thought it originally said when the fan was off, the laser was on. When the fan come on, the laser turned off.
That's what it's supposed to do, but it seems to be doing the opposite. And it also looks to me like this laser is currently too low, like it should be higher. It's an auto-focusing laser. Is it? Works with common 12 and 24 volt power supplies, yeah. Mount the laser to your printer. Place the adjusting tool on the working plane of the printer under your laser head. We don't have an adjusting tool. Use your controller software to move the laser head in Z-axis gently to touch the reference tool. At this point, you can calibrate the z-axis. What? What the hell is what is what? What's a height reference tool? And why don't we have one? And why haven't we got a height reference tool, but we have got 6 ranked toffees? It's meant to be a 3D model of a height series reference tool. But the only one I've got is of the mount. So it's because the height's wrong. Starting to get the brain ache. I don't know why I'm wearing these glasses because it's not on. Yeah, the adjusting tool is an STL on the card. There wasn't a card because we got the wrong machine. I hate this so much I could punch a child. And a small child as well, like a 5-year-old, maybe even a 4-year-old, just right to the face. And I've now got OPT lasers burned into the bed as well. So there's going to be no getting rid of that.
Nope.
Are you down with OPP? Yeah, you know me.
Right, so I'm going to have to go to OPT and I'm going to have to say, I'm going to have to ask them for whatever this height reference tool is.
You still haven't provided everything you need in order to fit this to a Prusa.
Yeah. And I'm going to ask them to confirm whether or not when you turn this machine on, if that laser is supposed to be on.
I don't believe so. I've never seen a laser.
I don't see how it could possibly be safe that the second you turn this Prusa, because it means that you can never leave this unattended.
Yep.
You could never finish. You could never say, all right, well, that's going to take an hour to engrave. You can't leave it for an hour to engrave whatever it's doing, because as soon as it finishes, it will home and it will just beam that laser into one point, and it's already melted several areas of my table. Right. Well, I'm gonna go and drink. Quote off the website. The moreover, the kit includes the STL of a height reference tool. Can be used for calibration of working distances and focusing of the z-axis.
Yeah, but again, we were sent the wrong kit.
We were sent the wrong kit.
Instead of sending the right
But to
kit,
be clear,
what they did is just send wire.
Yeah, the bracket didn't exist on the site. Didn't exist for us anyway. I had to find the bracket.
That's awesome.
Which was really good. I was really, happy about that.
So from the get-go, it was already a disaster.
The problem is that the kit they sent us, right? So there's only 2 things on their site, right? There's the mount, which is what we've got, and then there's the kit. Bearing in mind this is a $200 kit, right?
Yeah.
So for $200, you could include the height reference tool, and you could include the bracket that fits this to a printer. Like, you could include those. There's no reason why I have to print them. But even if they were printable, they should just be available on the website under the download section.
And I take it they're not.
Well, nothing that I can find, no. There's technical drawings, software. There's a whole bunch of laser post-processors.
Yeah, because you have a need for the technical drawings, don't you?
Pardon?
You have a need for the technical drawings.
Oh yeah. I really need them. So the Prusa laser mount is something you can download, but there's nothing on there in the download section. That's just under the mounting plates. There's nothing in there that's a link to let you download.
Right,
This height
the laser
tool.
might have to be lower, but without the tool that tells you how high the Z height's going to be, doesn't matter where you put the laser, high or low, you're never going to put it in a place where it's perfect without knowing what the Z height's got to be.
Yeah, right. I think I've found the height reference tool buried in some of their files. So I think I've got the height reference tool. But to be clear, there's no. So what is the height reference tool so that you can adjust the pinder sensor? It must be, surely. Because that's the only way you can set the Z height.
Maybe we'll leave doing it on a live stream again. We'll see if we can get it to work. And then we'll just do a review on it, whether it works or not.
I think this is Matt's fault, personally.
Well, I mean, already
He turned his back on it ages ago.
He did turn his back on it a while ago, to be fair. Yeah. Right, okay. Let's spend a bit of time trying to see if we can fix Matt's issue. Matt, what's your issue?
Oh, I think I found out the issue. Let me. I need to set the E steps on here and get this all situated. But I originally disconnected the original hot end, thinking, "Hey, I don't need this anymore." And then I'm like, "Wait, no."
Right, yeah. So a couple of issues with that. So the first is that in stock Ender firmware, cold extrusion will be enabled. Will be disabled. So cold extrusion means you cannot move your extruder motor without your hot end being heated. Now, the actual advice, and I still can't wrap my head around this, but the original instructions say that you just take your tool head off and just leave it on the table.
Oh God, he's not working on that.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Oh.
So the advice is that you just leave it on the table. But the problem is if cold extrusion isn't enabled, or then basically you have to heat the hot end up to enable to mean that and you've just got to have a heated hot end sitting on your desk.
Right.
To mean that you can move the extruder motor.
You must really hate yourself.
Oh yeah.
If that's what you're doing.
Absolutely.
There's so many burn marks in my table now. It's like the surface of Mars. Just all pitted and horrible. Or the face of a teenager. Just all undesirable and sweaty. Check the link in your PM. How is that on the Prusa website? All right.
Now,
okay.
why the hell? All right, hold on.
Well, I think I'm going to go because I'm disgusted with this kit.
I think I've depressed myself enough.
Yeah.
Because according to the website, the laser can be 35 or 60. Okay. So I'm assuming what that means, Paul, is that one, it means I need to pick one of those two mounting points, either 30 or 60. And then I'm assuming what it means is I need to move the pinder sensor so that the pinder sensor triggers at the correct height for that thing. But again, none of that in the instructions. It doesn't mention the pinder sensor once. So I've yeeted that onto the floor. And I'm just going to have a nap because that's mentally exhausted me.
Well, you know, if you always want another show, you can always jump on somebody else's live stream that's going on right now.
Hard pass. Right, okay. Thanks for joining us, guys. So another anticlimax, but at least some progress. We've kind of got the right parts, but that is not doing what it's supposed to be doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to OPT and I'm going to find out from them, first of all, whether or not that laser is supposed to be on when the printer turns on. And secondly, whether or not there's some sort of wiring issue. I can try a thick plank underneath. So right, so I don't disagree that I probably could put a bit of wood underneath it, but the whole point of this is that it's meant to be a drop-in kit. That it just mounts to a Prusa and off you go. Do you know what I mean? Like you're not supposed because otherwise, if you have to change your Z offset or if you have to play about with your sensor, that's no longer a drop-in kit, because the whole purpose is that you mount it, you connect it, and then you can just disconnect it and take it off when you don't want to use it and still use it as a Prusa. But what we're saying is that you've actually got there's people who spend the best part of a week setting up all of their Z offset and their live Z, for their Prusa. So like to be playing about with the sensor is less of a drop-in kit. It means you are basically saying this machine is really just going to print with the laser from now on. And that's an expensive laser at that point. Like you can buy the I can't remember what the other one we looked at was. Do you remember, Mike? I can't remember who made it.
No, I can't.
It was I'm sure it was called like the Sun something. Sculpt Fun, that's it. Like Sculpt Fun for $300, do like a 200 by 300 desktop laser. It's 3 times the power of that, and it can burn through, and it can cut through something like 10 mil ply.
15 mil it was.
15 mil ply, sorry, yeah. And that's only like $350. Like, why am I changing £800 worth of Prusa into a laser if I can do it for half the cost with 4 times the build volume? Go on then, Matt. Is it working?
It's working. We'll see.
I hope you had more luck than I did, because I just managed to make a slightly crapper version of the square that it originally came in.
Yeah, so basically I created a maker coin in a way. It's nothing special. It was just something that I did for the hell of it. You guys have probably seen me drink a coffee from a place called Dunkin' Donuts. And their logo is like DNKN or something. And so I made a maker coin with that DNKN logo on it, and I just slapped it in there, and we'll see how it goes. Definitely got some air still in it. I can clearly see that. Either that or the bed's warped. I don't know.
I think if I was guessing, I'd say it's the bed.
Yeah.
Right, guys, on that note, we're going to end the live stream. Anticlimax again, so apologies for that. I promise that the next live stream we have will actually achieve something.
We'll actually have something that works.
Don't tell people lies.
Because, well, it just won't be for this. So, like, we'll just do a printer or a modification that, I don't know, something crazy, like it works. That'd be fun.
That you know.
So anyway. thanks very much for joining us, Matt, and putting up with our endless ramblings about a machine that doesn't do what it's supposed to. And apologies that you have to touch an Ender 3 again. I know that sullies your hands.
Oh yes, yeah. So much fun. Let me tell you.
I can imagine.
Every minute
So
of
keep
it.
an eye on the channel, guys, because we have got more Ender belt stuff coming up. So for those who are interested in how this bad boy works, and it does work because we have a benchy, not a glorious benchy, but it is a benchy, so progress is progress. So for those who are interested in that, keep an eye on the channel because we'll be having some more stuff coming out about that. There is a build video about this already. So if anybody wants to check out the build video, please go and do so on the channel. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It's making a huge difference. We're going to hit 4,000 subs before the end of this year, which is absolutely amazing. And that's it. Thanks very much for joining us, guys. We'll see you later.
See you later.